You the goodness.
Welcome back.
Word.
All right, there we go.
What up?
All right.
What up?
What's up,
What
man?
up? I'm
Beers
on
and
the
bets.
edge, the edge, the edge, the edge, the edge, the edge, the edge.
I shouldn't have let you. Okay, got to cut you off there.
Victory.
We're here for the Week 17 recap. We got to congratulate Jimmy early on his back-to-back fantasy football championships.
Not quite yet.
If we can jinx him, I would welcome it.
It's over. It's over.
Yeah, it looks like it's over. So,
yeah, buddy.
We had an exciting week of football.
Another notch on the belt.
The teams that are going to be in the playoffs are pretty close to set. There's a couple spots left up for grabs. Most noticeably, next week we got Chargers and Raiders fighting for the 6 or the 7 seed.
I feel like there's a spot up for grabs on that Tampa Bay wide receiving. In that wide receivers room, man.
I think they already have everybody in the building that's going to be there for the playoffs.
Maybe, yeah.
I'll touch on this a little bit when it gets to my Monday headline, but they have what they need in the building. It's going to be all right.
It's an interesting approach. What he did.
Should I just get into it and kick it off with that as our first Monday headline?
I mean, how can we not? That is the headline of the year. What the fuck was that?
Before we get into Antonio Brown, watching especially the first half of that game, I started thinking, I'm going to have to buy a Zach Wilson jersey. I like a lot of these young quarterbacks.
He's pretty cool.
And he just came close to the
he
just came close to the top of that list. I got to get a Zach Wilson jersey.
And didn't catch it right away.
But
I mean, he is in the AFC, dude.
Zach Wilson did make some good throws. Like he's got the arm. I kind of see that was my first time watching a full game of the Jets this year. He does have a very quick arm. It's going to take everything else.
Montana-esque, or is it?
I think it's more like a Aaron Rodgers type guy.
Okay,
like you're looking at the next Aaron Rodgers. Not high, not high expectations.
Right.
We're going to keep the expectations
not
reasonable.
As many rings, but the talent.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah. Looks like a young Aaron Rodgers out there.
Yeah.
Is that fair? Am I being fair?
I think they're being
looks like a young Case Keenum out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. That's who he looks like, man.
All right. But anyways,
he's way cooler than Case Keenum though, with the head thing and shit. At least he has a headband. Case Keenum was just
visor.
Yeah. Never really looked cool.
Anyways, the Antonio Brown stuff, 2 weeks ago, he returns from his 3-game suspension for the fake COVID vaccination card. So he's already on thin ice. And he just quits mid-game. There's been talk about him being injured, and the coaches said if he wasn't willing to play through the injury, just leave. And that's why he left, which doesn't seem like what I saw watching the game.
Well, and Arians doubled down. He kind of doubled down today, and he was like, I did not know of any injury. I told him to go in. He wouldn't go in. I said, get off the sideline. He got off the sideline, and only AB fashion.
Theatrics getting off the sideline.
You see from a movie,
And there's a video recording that a fan shot from behind the Bucs sideline. And like before Antonio Brown rips his shoulder pads off, Mike Evans is right there, like trying to cool him off. Like, come on, man.
Right.
Just stick it out, stick with it, get over it. And then after a while of Mike trying to convince him, Mike Evans just did a little kind of like, fuck you, hand shrug. He's like, fuck you, man. Just I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And then the rest
I
is
tried.
history.
It's like I tried, whatever.
So if one of your closest teammates is reached the point of like, I can't do anything to help you out, man. Like he was done. It was a long time coming.
The offensive version, like
it's too bad because you need him.
We do.
Of Levante David too. Like they're like a guy that's weathered it and been there when they were bad. Is like, come on, dude. Like that guy vouched for you, but I really think there's something's not right in AB's head. I don't even know. Like that's just weird human behavior. It's more than just like wanting attention and being an asshole. It's like, dude, something's just not right with the dude, man.
It's got to be head injuries, right?
Because he
his first like 3
really
or 4
cool,
years with the
would,
Steelers.
He would reply on Snapchat. I would say shit, and he would be like, "Thanks for the love," and like reply to me, dude. Like his rookie year. And now, dude, I had him on fantasy football before he was, and he would just he would have one of those cars that has it looks like it has stars, like a Rolls Royce, but it has stars in the roof. Have you ever seen that shit?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
And so he would just be doing one of these, looking over the lights, with his what?
He's a weirdo, man.
Yeah,
I always draw the comparison.
Well, he started as a special teamer too. It's not like
a playmaker, dude.
Yeah,
6th round pick, I believe.
Yeah, but I mean, he started as like a returner, and
he
played
was
gunner on punts. So.
Yeah. Oh wow, I didn't know he was on punt return too. Yeah, it's cool.
But I always draw the comparison. He's like the Kanye West of football players, because Kanye is like, super talented musician, but something's a little bit off upstairs.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things he does remind me of like Kanye like things. But when you have 51 other players plus a coaching staff relying on you, those types of theatrics aren't cool, man.
Relying on you.
It doesn't work.
Then you would know more, but Tom Brady, I'm pretty sure, gave him, like, let him live with him and brought him into his house in Tampa and like went out every way. So that's where, and Brady even came out. It's like, I think people just need to pray for him that, people do the right thing for him rather than just rip him apart. But it's like,
because football isn't everything. And if a competitor like Tom is saying that,
he did, dude.
There is something he's worried about.
Clearly there's something wrong. It's not. Like, we've never seen this before. Maybe we'll see it again now. But I mean, this is like something like Odell wouldn't even think of doing. Right. I feel like
that's true.
I agree. Yeah. Like Odell now, I hope he has to watch this. I hope and be like, I can't do that, dude.
Yeah. Things not to do.
I mean, Chad Johnson never pulled this.
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
Right.
Like the biggest showboat. Right.
Man. Yeah. I think of T.O. a little more of like a douchebag than Ocho Cinco was like, he tried to be a competitor more than Tia. I don't know. I guess like he did all the
he was just goofy. He was goofy. It wasn't so harmful.
Like he had to make a name for himself somehow because he really wasn't that good.
Him and Carson Palmer weren't like yelling at each other all the time and shit like T.O. would be with every quarterback he had, though. Like, he would be on the sideline with anybody. But I mean, I feel like that, Matt, that was we had to get into that right away because that was the most obvious headline, I think, for anyone that watched football yesterday.
Even watching it go down, I couldn't. It was so hard to figure out because, like you said, Brad, we never have seen it before. It was like, what's going on? What's wrong? What is he? Wait, what is he doing? Like he's taking his shirt off. Now he's like running across the field, doing peace signs to the crowd, hyping him up.
Brad's comparison was the best ever, and I'm not even gonna. He can tell you who he said. I was like, he's like, we haven't seen that since who'd you call? What'd you say?
Oh Dean
Brad?
Portman.
It was a Dean Portman.
Dude, I don't know if you ever seen the movie Joanna Man. Same kind of thing, where he literally strips down to nothing at the start of a basketball game. It's like, what a weird thing to see. And now all these different videos and angles we're getting, like the Mike
I got memes of him holding shit.
It's just
dude,
unneeded chaos for a team in the middle of a serious playoff hunt.
That was the best one. I was like, dude, that was totally hit.
That is good. I did not think of that one.
Twirling shit.
But he is like acting the same way.
The whole thing, man. I was like, oh my God, he's giving fans high fives and shit. Dude, that's that movie, man. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. And then, of course, in Tom Brady fashion, right after AB pulls the antics, they come back from 2 touchdowns. There was there's 2 minutes left in the third quarter when this happens. Bucks come back from a 2 touchdown deficit, win it in regulation, and
to do it against the Jets. I mean, the powerhouse, dude. To come back in that environment,
win in a tough place,
how
win in a tough environment,
drove them down though.
I'm giving you shit because it was
kind of funny because I thought we almost had a chance to see Tom and Mahomes both kind of drive. And instead, since it worked out, they could just milk the clock at the end and kick it. But
we'll get into that.
I was like, man, we're gonna see it.
We could have had both of them going on at the same time.
Right?
Yeah. Good point.
That really just goes to show like how good. I mean, the one dude wasn't even a player in college. He wasn't even a football player.
He's a track star. Yeah.
Track star. Yeah. At LSU or where was it? Where did they say?
I don't even know where. I just know he did.
I think that is gonna catch up to him now.
He's played more snaps this year.
No, I think
it's
it will.
Cyril
No,
Grayson. He's played more snaps in football this year than he did in high school or college.
Yeah, I knew that he did. Yeah, I watched a thing on him saying he had never really played, but it just goes to show you when Tom like gets any like there was a video like we've seen 30 of them, but there's a picture of it, a picture of the same thing when AB's doing the bullshit. And dude, not one of the Bucs players is looking at AB that are jogging onto the field. They're all just looking at Brady, and he's just like, look, like, come on, like we're not. Fuck it. Like
he's gone. He's fucking gone.
It's literally, the last thing you need.
Don't be looking down there, and they're all just locked in on what Brady's telling them and like all that. And that his ability to command, just like, man, respect, and like whoever comes to play for him, it's like you don't drop a fucking pass.
Yeah,
just play your ass off.
Yeah. Speaking of Brady and the greatest quarterbacks of all time, let's go to another one of the greatest of all time. Jimmy, you had Joe Burrow for your Monday headline.
Yeah,
I've also talked to Rodgers. Well, no, I've also talked about Burrow as one of these like the next Tom Brady. So I thought you wanted
that Rodgers guy who's not having a bad year either.
We can do a little bit of Rodgers. I want to spend more time on Burrow.
All right, well, that was phenomenal, man. He looked incredible. I mean, that not only was it beating the Chiefs, which was fucking dope, but like I think it said it was the first player in NFL history to have over 400 passing yards and like 4 touchdowns with no picks in back-to-back games ever. Like no one else has ever done that.
And a league winner if you played him in fantasy.
Yeah.
If you think the last 2 weeks.
I mean,
I had him the last 2 weeks. I didn't win the league.
You gotta get there.
You gotta draft better then.
Yeah. But
if we're on fantasy football here though, Jimmy's good during these COVID years. He's really just good at COVID fantasy football. There's a huge asterisk next to both of those champions.
Hey, I just continue my dominance in my other one. So
I know having Travis Kelce out. My first playoff game, that was real helpful, man, because of COVID. Yeah, that worked out. I mean, give me a fucking.
It probably did. Whoever your replacement was probably is better than Kelce.
He could be at like 4.
Probably.
Yeah. All right, sorry for throwing you off.
Yeah, but yeah, Burrow, he's killing it, dude. He looked really good. I think the Bengals overall. I mean, did you see their head coach after the game? He was in tears, dude. He was crying, talking about
Burrow after the game.
They asked about you saw when Burrow's name got. His name thing got ripped off the back, and they asked him about that, the coach, and he like literally cried. He was like, yeah, just something like just awesome or something like that. But he started crying, talking about how much the dude's a competitor and shit. But what I will say about that is, what's his name, Stefanski or some bullshit? The
Bengals coach?
Yeah,
Zach Taylor.
Oh, okay. Why did
Zach Taylor? He's like the first kind of successful guy that's been poached off the Sean McVay tree,
right?
Kind of.
Okay, yeah. Well, he that idea, that call to go for it on 4th down was kind of questionable.
I disagreed with it.
Yeah, that was weird because no matter what, you're gonna give Mahomes the ball back. Why not have 3 points and have him? You know what I mean? Like that was.
It worked out in the end for him.
It did because they got the PI call.
The refs helped out.
That was crazy. Oh, there was a lot of bad. I mean, talk about the refs.
Loved it. God, I loved it.
That Dallas game was crazy. The end of that with, no call on the fumble there. I don't know.
That was really bad.
But you got to blame that on McCarthy too for burning the timeout.
That is. You're right.
Yeah, on the decision earlier in the game.
There should be that eye in the sky to just correct that kind of shit. It shouldn't come down to if you have timeouts or challenges.
It shouldn't come down to whether there's 2 minutes and 17 seconds on the clock or a minute 57 on the clock. It's still a shitty fucking call.
You should get the call right.
Right. Yeah. Especially when you're a fan watching and you see 30 seconds of replays and you're like, it was a fumble.
That game was at Jerry's World.
It was.
You got the biggest fucking TV in the planet. Everyone can see it but the referees. They're not calling it the right way. Can you imagine how frustrating it would be if you had season tickets to that game? You're like, all right, I'm telling you, my 8-year-old kid just
fumble.
Like, what the fuck, man? But yeah, I thought Burrow looked great. I think that was a huge win for Cincinnati. That was the first time since 2015 that like they've won the AFC North.
The North.
That's a big division to win. The way the Ravens have trended and shit, the Bengals just have kind of been they've been really consistent this year. So Burrow, he bounced back from that ACL injury pretty well.
Yeah, and a finger injury a couple weeks ago. He bounced back from.
I think it's big how they came back though too. I mean, because to come back on Kansas City like they did is not easy. I mean, I think they outscored them 17-3 in the second half. Cincinnati did.
They held
so when you can make that kind of adjustment against a clear cut like deep playoff contender, I think like their confidence has not been higher since maybe they destroyed Baltimore early in the year.
Yeah, and that when they ran through them or whatever, right? But that the mixing game, right, where he ran like the same play like 3 times. Yeah, but no, dude, I think they just looked. It was a time for them to actually show up and play, and they held them to a big field goal to that 3 late in the game instead of giving up 7. And Mahomes jogged out the field like, motherfucker, dude. Like, they got something for us. So,
yeah. And I believe that was also like right after the kickoff return the Chiefs got called back. Yep. And then they end up holding them to 3 points.
And they only get 3
instead
out
of a touchdown.
So, yeah, man. That was big. And that that blueprint from the Super Bowls, I think, still out there for the Chiefs. Yeah, they're great, but there is definitely a way they can get got. And their defense isn't perfect yet, man. They just had a good run, but they just got shredded.
Yeah, I think it got exposed.
It's Spagnuolo with some bad calls, dude. Spagnuolo 3rd and 27, and they blitz 8 on 3rd and 27, and Jamar Chase burns them for a fucking 35-yard touchdown.
I felt like I was watching the Ravens defense. Like that's the kind of shit the Ravens do. Like, last play of the game, let's blitz 8. Kind of shit.
Like no one thinks he's the smartest guy in every room, man. I don't know. It's nice to see him lose. I don't mind it.
Well, and keep them out of the 1 seed, because I mean we're looking at Tennessee playing Houston.
Huge, dude.
So now it goes through Tennessee instead. And
take it away. Tell us more about Tennessee. I want to just see where you kind of land on them. I'm impressed with what Vrabel's done. Is my biggest takeaway from the Titans year.
Coach of the year.
I mean.
I think he is.
Cincinnati's guy is going to win Coach of the Year. I think Zach.
I'd take Vrabel.
Wow.
I'd take Vrabel.
I'm pretty sure last I saw, like the betting odds was Zach Taylor is number 1.
That's a good one. I haven't really thought of too much.
But Vrabel should be up there. I mean, the thing is, it's like now they're kind of the second straight year winning the South. So you're kind of almost expected to do it. I mean, to beat that Miami team the way they did, 34-3, after they just clicked off 7 straight and beat some good teams in there. I mean, defense is pretty underrated, I think, just because it's not names we all know. It's Harold Landry and Jeffrey Simmons and Danico Autry, on the line, but they're productive. And you look at AJ Brown and Julio are both back. We don't know how long, with Julio, but and then the Derrick Henry. I mean, you're seeing on the ticker on NFL Network, back, he's designated to return, so that means he has 3 weeks to return. Mm-hmm. So if he just practices lightly on the side this week, practices a little bit on the side next week, I mean, he's looking ready to go for the playoffs, and that bye is huge for them.
Yeah, and then you think about what Deontay Foreman started to look like when they get Henry back. Now you're going to have a dangerous guy to come in a play or two here and there to spell
a much
Derrick
different
Henry.
Style too, kind of a contrasting style for once. For the longest time, I feel like Tennessee had Derrick Henry and then a bunch of like plotters behind him. But Foreman, he's looked explosive.
Yeah.
Once he changed to that number 7 and got himself out of Houston, he's looked good.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people look bad in that Texans uniform. That would be my
Cooks.
That would be first on my agenda. If I was with the Texans, I'd be like, we got to change these fucking uniforms. We've sucked. Ever since we've become a franchise. We've made the playoffs a few times with Bill O'Brien, but isn't that an ugly looking team? From the logo to the uniforms?
You can tell it's an expansion team. You look at it and you just know they're an expansion team.
Kind of.
Like a build your jersey on Madden kind of shit.
Yeah. Weird ass helmet.
But so Brad, you like the Titans, but like what about as far as like their playoff chances? Because the way I'm looking at it, and like I think my lens is kind of blurred by the fact that I've seen the Titans play without Derrick Henry for the last 8 weeks, however many weeks it's been. But I'm looking at the AFC playoffs, and it's hard for me to like think of the Titans as being any other team in the AFC playoffs when I go down the list. Because the Chiefs, you'd take over them, right? The Bills, you'd take over them. The Bengals.
I don't know if I'd take the Bills over. I don't know if I'd.
It's just
I
tough.
guess I would take the Chiefs and the Bengals. I think that's the only two that I would take over Tennessee in the AFC because I think they match up well. You know, the teams that can ring up the points quick are a little more dangerous to them, like Kansas City and Cincinnati. Buffalo, they don't know who they want to be as a team.
Yeah. Well, Buffalo, you don't know any level of consistency that you're getting any week, right? Like any week, Buffalo could go out and convincingly beat a team like the Patriots, but then they could also let a team like the Atlanta Falcons hang in there, even in snowy weather in Buffalo.
What should have been a dominant game.
Right.
Josh Allen still makes bonehead Josh Allen plays.
He did yesterday for sure.
You know, he kind of almost regressed from last season. I feel like he was better last year.
Might have just had a lucky year on the mistakes, you know?
Possibly, yeah.
Because the style of play he has does like lend itself to mistakes. And I think last year maybe everything was just working his way. It was a little bit of a new offense thing where defenses hadn't picked up enough. And then this year Josh Allen's had amazing games this year, and he's had games where you're like, wow, what's wrong with this Bills team? So
I think people forget about Tannehill as a runner. You know, he's pretty good threat. I think he has 7 rushing touchdowns on the year. So
kind of a poor man's Josh Allen as a runner, a little bit. He's a big guy. He can
Josh
move.
Allen and everything. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
He's turned the ball over too much this season, though.
We talked about it early too. It's like, dude, we were saying. I remember. I think when we did our picks, I was high on the Titans at one point. It might have been right before Henry got hurt because it was like, and now, dude. And I remember talking about after he got hurt, if they can just do all right, like just ride it out,
just tread water,
tread water with him out, dude. Well, they did way more than treading water, and then they got the benefit of fucking Cincinnati beating KC yesterday without Derrick Henry, dude. So I think that like when we think like, oh well, yeah, KC can beat them. Well, yeah, definitely, but I don't think the Titans, Derrick Henry back. And I don't even know any of their fucking tight ends. It's what I was just pulling up, but it's like, dude, they seem to be able to throw a fucking a touchdown pass to a tight end with a new name every fucking week in that team, dude. So they just have great talent,
coaching.
Great coaching. Evaluation of talent on that team is really really good. And so I'm not shocked that or I'm shocked that they were able to stay where they're at.
Yes.
But now that they're there, it's like fuck. There's something to know. You don't want to fuck with them. I don't think, man. I don't know. It's like,
I'm impressed, but I am impressed with what they've been able to do without Derrick Henry. That being said, they got the 1 seed in the AFC as long as they take care of business against the Texans next week,
which they lost to them earlier in the year.
Yeah, I do think that this is one of those times where, like, they worked hard to get the number 1 seed, but I would take anybody coming in there week 2 of the playoffs and getting a win in Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, I
could see any of these AFC teams knocking them off.
Just kind of how the AFC is, though. It's like any week, if a team just has their week, then like fucking if Indy gets in, they could go in there and win. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of
Well, and I think the 5, 6, 7 seed right now, which would be New England, Indy, and Chargers, they could easily beat KC, Cincy, and Buffalo. Yeah, and I almost think
Tennessee, there's not an easy
Tennessee
team.
It matches up better against some of those pass-heavy teams where Tennessee can, like Indy versus Tennessee or New England. You know, you're kind of looking at similar styles.
Yeah, like the Chargers on paper, or from what we've seen enough this season, you'd say. And again, the Chargers would have to go through like. Right now, it looks like the Chiefs to even get to Tennessee. But say the Chargers do get the better of the Chiefs in Arrowhead and go into Tennessee, that matchup stylistically is what you want if you're the Titans, right? Because it's a team you can physically just dominate.
Who's that?
I mean,
the Chargers.
Well,
the Chargers
that would come down to
if the Chargers get into the playoffs, which is one thing, and then they knock off a team like the Chiefs or the Bills, whoever their matchup is.
Okay.
And then the Chargers being the 7 seed
would
go into Tennessee
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what you would want if you're Tennessee, because we've seen the Chargers, they're able to be physically had.
Yeah, I think you'd rather, if you're Tennessee, you'd rather see, like Buffalo or LA or even Kansas City, just because Indy and New England, it's kind of like, that O-line, especially the left side of Tennessee's O-line with Taylor Lewan and old Roger Saffold from the Rams still. But, I mean, they're probably the best left tackle, left guard duo. And they run behind them a lot.
So getting into that, let's talk about some playoff matchups, because I just said one of them, Chargers at Chiefs. I'd love to see a first round matchup between Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes. I might have a wet dream between now and then just thinking about it.
Who would you root for in that?
Probably Herbert. Yeah, it would be Herbert on the road. I'd love to see the young QB win in Arrowhead.
Just wants to see them both throw like 50 passes.
Yeah. No, dude, the Chiefs though did get their ass beat by was Henry healthy in that game? He had to have been.
Yeah, that was early in the year. The Titans whooped up on the Chiefs. Because that's when the Chiefs, we were all starting to doubt the Chiefs back then early in the season.
We all were. I think everyone was. I mean, yeah. But
I mean, it would have to take a lot.
They did kind of kick the shit out of them, dude. 27-3. I mean,
it's just that was so long ago.
Yeah,
all the good teams have had one of those this
again.
year.
I'd love to see Chiefs Bengals again in the playoffs. I know it'd take a lot to happen, but I want to
see Chiefs Bengals.
I would not mind seeing that game again.
That was good, dude. That was a really good one. It was so great to watch Kermit the fuckface walk off the field and his bitch.
What did you think about him?
Burrow get him twice in 1 year? I mean,
that'd be awesome, dude.
He would skyrocket. Like what? Oh.
I'd get a jersey.
Jimmy, what did you think about Pat Mahomes throwing that no-look pass and then making sure everybody knew that he did a no-look pass when he was like,
well, somebody didn't know because
it was funny. I was on with Seahawks and I was like, he's a good player, but that bullshit with the unnecessary no-look pass.
Look in this motherfucker.
And then they showed a replay and the play wouldn't have worked if he didn't pull the no look. He kind of rolled out of
because he is looking off a linebacker.
He's running towards the line of scrimmage, just staring at a linebacker, and then no look, like kind of shoots it off to the right on like a slant, and it was impressive.
It's kind of like a basketball fast break.
Yeah, I love to hate on Mahomes, but that one was an impressive throw.
Yeah, and usually he does it. God. Usually he does it and he fucks it up. Is the thing. Yeah, like this was one where he did it and it actually worked. So
he does that. He also does that shit where he goes down to the sidearm like fucking young one shit, and gets the ball tipped at the line. It's like, good shit, man.
Well, or he does it for no reason. You can tell it catches like a running back off guard. Like they're looking for it here, and it's like, what?
I would say I think he does. I think he does that stuff too many times when it's not necessary.
His little duck.
He gets fancy too many times when it's not necessary. Like he needs to not practice that type of shit as much. Because it's really, there's only a few times here and there a game where it's needed. But other playoff matchups, and you guys chime in with some too, but 49ers at Rams, I'd like to see in the playoffs. They play next week as well. But I like this matchup.
Yeah, that's a snooze fest for me.
Well, I'd like the 40, you say that, but the Niners have beaten the Rams 3 times in a row.
I don't give a shit about the Rams, to be honest. They're thrown in our face way too often. Like they're
Stafford. What's going on with that guy, man?
It's not even I don't. They're good. It's like I'm bored by it. Like
Stafford was not good yesterday.
No, he's been terrible lately. Yeah, I'm just saying. You know what I mean? They're like whatever. Like they're good. I'm annoyed by them. And the Niners, for fuck's sakes, dude, I don't even care. They just need to get fucked.
I think they're dangerous. I think the 6 and 7 seed with San Fran and Philly are kind of dangerous if they both make it.
But if I'm a Bucs fan, I'd much rather see the Eagles than San Fran.
Oh, I agree with you there. Well, it depends. If you see Trey Lance again, you're licking your chops because he definitely improved in the second half. But he does not look like a starting NFL quarterback yet. He looks like Zach Wilson. He looks like Trevor Lawrence. They're rookies, and it shows unless your name's Mac Jones.
You're right, but also at least with Philly running the ball, we know it's at least like somewhat traditional, and it's either going to be like Jalen Hurts or Miles Sanders or Kenneth Gainwell. It's going to be Philly running backs or Jalen Hurts running the ball. With the Niners, it's hard to stop the run, even if you're a good run defense, because they'll bring Debo in on a run play 10 times a game.
He's been amazing.
They do it in crazy ways that are hard to prepare for.
Have a few keepers to himself and give him the head fake.
Well, and that, we don't know if Garoppolo's even gonna play this coming week. It might be Lance the rest of the season, but
I'd be worried if I was. I'd be really worried if I was a Bucs fan and the Niners are our draw for that first week.
A lot of fucking parity in that NFC bracket right now. If it were to end today, because you got, as it stands, we got Philly at LA, and then at the Rams, and then San Fran at the Bucs, and then the Cardinals at the Cowboys. And it's like, well, Cardinals just beat the Cowboys, man, without Connor. And it's like, so that could, and Hopkins, who's, I think, is he still trending to come back for the playoffs?
Like weeks ago, they said he could be back for the NFC Championship game, which is like, the way the Cardinals are looking, I don't know. I don't know. It
didn't sound real promising.
I don't know, man. Yeah, they're dangerous too, though. That's my point. So all these matchups could go really either way. I know you want to hear, but the Niners and the Bucs, that would be a dangerous game for you, man. That wouldn't be.
Any game could be dangerous for the Bucs right now.
I think Arizona's probably the easiest of like the bottom seeds right now with the way they're playing.
D-Hop. With no D-Hop.
Yeah, he needs to be in, dude.
Kyler looks banged up. He's running for his life.
With the Bucs losing as many guys as they are right now, they could lose to anybody in round one. I've watching the game yesterday against the Jets. I mean, on defense, we got no Levante David, no Shaquille Barrett. That's two of our top three guys on defense.
Will they be back?
They're difference makers. Yeah. They're saying they should be back for the playoffs. But even then, dude, it's kind of rough being gone for a few weeks and rushing back for first week of the playoffs. And then, maybe you get down a score or two, and it's kind of tough.
Yeah. That's what makes it so hard to do back to back and shit, because like, dude, that's what I told you,
they were lucky last year with injuries.
Yeah,
they were.
Well, you got to get lucky, and to get lucky 2 years in a row, especially after a year where you've played longer than and more physical later in the year than you ever have in your life. Like you played games way deeper into January and February that matter. Like not just like fucking around training. Like that is going to take a bigger toll on your body. I mean, it's just more hits.
Yeah. Health and your defense was borderline elite. They're very much middle of the road, if not below average this year. Yes, they stopped the run, but that's because they're usually up on people.
Yeah. And even yesterday, they weren't stopping the run against the fucking Jets.
Michael Carter, I mean, or even, I guess you knocked him out.
Michael Carter got injured, and then Ty Johnson comes in.
And he ain't no Mike Davis, but I mean, he's all right, I guess. I'll take Mike Carter.
Yeah, I think I looked like you're the 19th overall defense. It's just, I don't know if Tom can overcome all that.
Yep. It's going to take a special run. I mean, young guys are going to have to step up on offense and defense, because even with Levante and Shaquille Barrett coming back, the secondary is still missing pieces every week. So, but that being said, I would never count Tom Brady out, because all you need to do is win your two in a row, and then you're in the NFC Championship game, and anything can fucking happen. So
just make it in and you get a chance. I'd love to, if, playoffs started next week, we'd be seeing New England in Buffalo. Yeah. I'm all for seeing the third round of that as well.
And Cincy and Indianapolis,
and
right?
Dude, there's so many
That's a good matchup.
Yeah. I'd love to see that
two out of three divisional matchups in the AFC. We're getting two divisional games, so we're getting
if AFC plays out how it has, you're looking at a really good matchup. Yeah.
Third round, and
let's do this. Let's cut part one there, and we'll come right back, and we're going to do trivia. It's hosted by Jimmy. He won the Madden trivia last week.
The current champ of everything. Get fucked. So, hold my dick, motherfucker.
Next episode will be trivia. And then right before that, we'll toss the Monday Night Football player props in there, just so we get those on record before the Monday Night Football starts.
Cool. Yeah,
all right.
Let's do that.
We'll be right back, y'all.
Cheers.
Cheers.